Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Generation Tech, and the third part in our series looking at the better aspects of the Star Wars prequels. My name is Ben, and today we are looking at Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I must admit, I have almost nothing bad to say about this movie. Okay, the CGI isn't up to par compared to today's standards, but it was revolutionary for the time. The film editor got a bit carried away with crazy transitions, and Anakin and Padme's romance scenes do make you want to vomit.
You're so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
But that's limited to just one or two scenes, and I actually feel in this movie we really see why George Lucas cast Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. His ability to play the role of someone whose mind is being tortured is quite incredible. More on that later. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. This is why the Star Wars prequels weren't really that bad. Part 3, Revenge of the Sith. This movie has possibly the best opening of any Star Wars movie. We launch right into the Battle of Coruscant with Anakin and Obi-Wan flying fighters to go board the Separatist flagship. There's a lot of creativity in this battle. They don't just get hit with lasers, but also attacked by missiles that release buzz droids that land on your ship and attempt to sabotage it by rewiring the electronics. The fight between the capital ships seems to take inspiration from the old galleons of yore. In those days, two ships would pull alongside each other and both open fire at point-blank range with cannons sticking out of little holes, like this clip in Russell Crowe's Master and Commander. Why isn't Russell Crowe in Star Wars? He would have made a cool Jedi. We also hear some familiar lines from the original trilogy.
Set his foils in attack position.
Once we're on the Separatist ship, we get to see R2-D2 in action like never before. And it's in Anakin's showdown with Count Dooku that Palpatine finally starts to show his true colors.
Good, Anakin, good. Kill him. Kill him now.
And this starts the process of Palpatine's mind games with Anakin. Palpatine, using the Inception technique, plants an idea in Anakin's mind that Padme will die during childbirth. He then tempts Anakin with the promise of saving Padme.
Learn to know the dark side of the Force, and you will be able to save your wife from certain death.
Pulls on his heartstrings and gives him creepy sounding compliments.
They don't trust you, Anakin.
They see your future. They know your power will be too strong to control.
And eventually it's all too much for Anakin and he becomes morally confused, giving a really great performance. The way he kind of rolls his eyes gives the impression of someone who's torn between right and wrong, and it's really tearing up his being.
Please don't.
I need him!
I'm sure he was high when he filmed this. Unfortunately, we know what happens to Anakin. He gives in to his emotions and joins the dark side. After killing Mace Windu and then kneeling down, pledging allegiance to someone who now looks like Freddy Krueger, I imagine Anakin must have felt deep regret. I mean, joining the Sith, it's not like a gym membership that you can cancel any time. And even if he could save Padme, she's not going to want to be with him now. In the process of Anakin's downfall, other Jedi constantly warn him about his mental state, and Yoda delivers one of the deeper references of the movie.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin. The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
I won't let these visions come true, Master Yoda.
Death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Mourn them, do not. Miss them, do not. Attachment leads to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is.
It was Taoist and Buddhist principles that served as the inspiration for the Jedi philosophy, so when they are talked about in the movie, they feel really deep and meaningful. Now let's look at some filming locations. Well, Revenge of the Sith was really a studio movie with CGI in almost every shot, but film crews were sent to get footage of certain locations to add in as background scenery, and these really are some of the most beautiful places in the world. Footage from Guilin in southern China and an area near Phuket in the Philippines were used in the background of the Battle of Kashek. Wait a minute, is that a clone trooper wearing camouflage? Why didn't the Imperials do that on Endor? Would have saved stormtrooper lives. Anyway, the Grindelwald area of Switzerland provided mountain scenery for Alderaan, and during the filming of the movie, Mount Etna in Italy erupted, so George Lucas sent a film crew to film the eruption for background scenery on Mustafar. We get to see what Obi-Wan would look like in Game of Thrones.
Now let's get a move on. We've got a battle to win here.
Yes, sir.
And this entertaining lightsaber technique of General Grievous. Revenge of the Sith also has a great soundtrack, but I can't play you any of it because I'll get a copyright strike. My final and most important point about this movie is that you get to see how all the loose ends tie up to get to the point where the story starts in A New Hope. You see how the Emperor becomes hideously deformed. Is it just me, or is it weird how no one seems to notice that Chancellor Palpatine is now delivering messages looking like he's wearing a Halloween costume? I guess they do explain it as a failed assassination attempt that left him deformed. But wouldn't the Senate sort of tell him to take a rest and recover? You get to see Order 66, the order Palpatine gives to clone troopers to turn on the Jedi. This is a very hard-hitting sequence that almost brings a tear to your eye, because you know from A New Hope that it leads to the virtual extinction of the Jedi Order. We also get to see how Anakin becomes Vader.
Henceforth, you shall be known as Darth Vader.
And Obi-Wan delivers some classic lines in the process.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I have the high ground. You are the chosen one.
Alright, perhaps that last one was a little bit cheesy. We get to see Luke and Leia born, and personally, I find it kind of funny that everyone expresses huge surprise when they find out that they're having twins.
We need to operate quickly if we are to save the babies.
Babies.
She's carrying twins.
I mean, the Star Wars universe, with all its technology, traveling through hyperspace, creating artificial intelligence, etc., can't even carry out a simple ultrasound scan to check on babies in the womb. We then get to see how Luke ended up on Tatooine with old Ben Kenobi as his neighbor, and how Leia ended up being a princess on Alderaan. And finally, the construction starting on the Death Star with Tarkin, Vader, and Palpatine looking on. And that's what is most satisfying about this movie. Everything that was set up in the previous two movies all comes together and delivers you to the start of the original trilogy. I only have a couple of criticisms of Revenge of the Sith. One is that the romance scenes suck, but also Yoda's dialogue gets a bit annoying. He has a lot of lines in the movie, and he delivers them all with his uniquely backwards grammar.
Not if anything to say about it. I have. At an end, your rule is. And not short enough it was.
To be honest, it gets a bit hard on the ear. They should have just kept him as either a man of few words, or had him speak normally and only use his unique Yoda grammar for certain key sentences. But despite those criticisms, this is by far the best movie of the prequel trilogy. Hayden Christensen's performance turning to the dark side fully redeems him for his creepy romance scenes from Episode 2. We get probably the most deep look into Jedi philosophy of any Star Wars movie, and some hard-hitting dramatic scenes that stir up emotions. And if you'd like to know how I rank the prequel trilogy from bad to good, for me it goes like this: Episode 2, Episode 1, Episode 3. Please let me know what your ranking is in the comments below. If you're new, please subscribe, give this video a like, and if you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.